Hi everybody, Patrick here from EngineeringShock.com and EscapeRoomElectronics.com. This is the assembly video for the Arduino Easy COMMS shield, which is currently up on Kickstarter as of January 7th, 2019. So I'm going to show you how to put one together piece by piece. And first things first, I'll introduce you to all of the components involved. So we've got 4 6-pin male headers, 4 8-pin male headers, 2 10-pin male headers, 2 6-pin female headers, a DIP 8 socket, a DIP 8 audio chip, a DIP audio jack, a 2-pin header, a jumper, 2N2222 NPN transistor, a 1 microfarad electrolytic capacitor, a 100 microfarad electrolytic capacitor, 2 ceramic capacitors, red LED, green LED, 3 470 ohm resistors, a 10k ohm resistor, a 100 ohm resistor, and a 2.7k ohm resistor. So first things first, let's what we're going to do is we're going to put our resistors in, and then we're going to start on our headers. Now you can do this in any order you like. I also should mention that the LCD is also included along with standoffs and screws. I'll get to that a little bit later. But so we've got our shield right here. We have to know where to put our resistors. So they are labeled. This one right here is labeled 470R. So place one of your 470 ohm resistors here. This one is labeled 2.7K. Place your single 2.7K ohm resistor there. We've got a 10K ohm right here labeled 10K, a 100R for 100 ohm resistor. We've got one of those, place it right there. And we've got 2 remaining resistors, both labeled 470R. So if you can't read resistor color code, just pull out your multimeter and test to see which value is which. Once those are all soldered into place, just make sure there's no shorts. You got nice solder joints. And now, just before we move forward to the headers, I figure why not do our ceramic capacitors. As you can see, all of the resistors are now soldered into place. We've got 2 ceramic capacitors, both 0.1 microfarad ceramic capacitors, and they go in this slot right here. There's no polarity, both leads are the same size. The slot right here and the slot right here. So I'm going to solder those into place, and next we're going to worry about the shield headers. With the capacitors in, the ceramic capacitors in, we want to do the shield headers first. So a neat trick is we're going to take an Arduino Uno, and what we're going to do is we are going to take an 8-pin, and we're going to place the long headers down. We're going to take a 6-pin, long headers down. You can do this any way you'd like, and you can do this in any order you'd like. This is just how I'm going to teach you how to do it. But again, for those of you who are experienced, just do it however you'd like, whatever feels comfortable. Take a 10, place it all the way down with the long pins, and I'll take another 8, and I'll place it all the way down. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that, and I'm going to line it up. I might do this off screen just so that it's easier to show you how it all looks on top. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up with these holes, and it should just pop into place, and I can actually use the Arduino to hold it in place while I solder it. There we go. Popped nicely into place. I've got all the headers right here. I can feel them with my finger, and now I can solder them all into place. Next we'll do the headers facing up. With that done, I can pop it off. And as you can see, now we're ready to solder all of the headers on top. So there are 6 remaining male headers, which all face up, and 2 female headers also facing up. So first things first, let's do our male headers. What we want to do is we've got a 6, an 8, a 10, and another 8. And what we want to do is we want to place them facing up. These are on the outside. And typically what I like to do for these ones is I like to hold it in place with my fingernail. And then I like to dab a piece of solder on one end. I'll let go. I'll make sure it's still standing at 90 degrees. And then I'll solder it into place. And I'll do that for all 4. Now, there are also 2 remaining 6-pin headers here facing up. So they go side by side. And I follow the same rule set. I hold it down with my finger, make sure it's at 90 degrees, dab a bit of solder on one pin, let go, make sure that it's still standing nice and straight, and then I solder it in place. And I can do that for both of these. And those are the power rail headers for 5 volts, 3 volts, and DC ground. So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to solder those into place. I'll show you what it looks like. Then we'll do our 2-pin header right here, and then we'll do our 2 female headers. Okay, we're actually going to include our 2N2222 NPN transistor in this step. So we've got 2 of these 6-pin female headers, and we're going to place one on each side. And we'll follow the same instruction as before. We're going to hold it into place with our finger, solder one piece underneath, one pin, make sure it's still sitting Absolutely 90 degrees, because this is where our LCD is going to fit in. There's four holes in the middle that are not being used. Make sure that you can see 4 pins that are not being used in the middle, so that you are soldering it perfectly. You want to make sure that the left one is on the far left and the right one is on the far right, and that there are 4 pins that are visible in the middle. That's the way you know you're doing it right. So solder 1 pin on each. Make sure that they're standing exactly at 90 degrees so our LCD will fit in properly. Next, we got a 2-pin header, but let's hold off on that for a second. We've got our little transistor area here. It's labeled NPN, and that's where we're going to place our 2N2222. And as you can see, there's a flat side and a curved side. The 2N22 transistor has a flat side and a curved side. Sorry if it's not focusing properly. You want to make sure from a bird's eye view that the curved side faces the back and the flat side of the transistor faces the front. And I'll show you a close-up of this in just a second after I've soldered it into place. Next, you got our 2-pin header. A little 2-pin header. Make sure that the long pins are facing up, short pins are facing down. We're going to place a jumper on top of it afterwards if we want to force enable our LCD on. If you don't want to force enable your LCD on, just leave your header aside, and we'll use the transistor switch to turn the LCD on and off with software. How's that for a slice of fried gold? So let's say you don't want to force your LCD on, you want to use software to control the backlight. Don't short the 2 pins, just leave your header there, shorting 1 pin so that you just have a place to keep it. So now let's solder in our electrolytic capacitors. We've got 2 electrolytic capacitors. One is a 100 microfarad. It's labeled on the capacitor itself, and that goes right here. And what you want to do is place it in, and with the long pin to the left from this perspective, short pin to the right. Don't reverse that, or else it might blow up when you power it up. There's a little plus sign above the left pin. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pop it in. This capacitor specifically, I'm going to pop in not all the way down, just most of the way down, and then I'm going to go. There we go. And so that it doesn't interfere with the LCD, because the LCD is going to go over top of it. So now it doesn't matter if it's completely flat to the board, but now I'll turn it around, I'll tack 1 pin, make sure it's still flat, and then I'll solder the other pin and complete soldering the tacked pin, just so it's nice. Then I'll cut the leads. Secondly, we've got on the upper left hand side another unlabeled electrolytic capacitor. And I didn't label these capacitors because I didn't want the labelings to get in the way. It's got a little plus sign above the bottom pin, so we want long pin on the bottom, short pin facing the top, and this one doesn't need to be bent. This one can just be soldered in flush. And so you can hold it down with your finger, tack 1 pin on the bottom, solder the other pin, assuming that the capacitor is still facing 90 degrees, and then go back and refinish the tacked solder joint, and then cut them both, and you'll be off to the races. Next, we'll solder in the audio jack just to the left. Okay, so now we've got our audio jack. From the underside of the audio jack, there's 1 pin on the top, 4 on the bottom. It really only fits in one way, and the best way to do this is to line up the top pin, the ground pin, and then put the 4 pins in the back end. So what you want to do is hold it down with 1 finger, make sure that it's sitting nicely, and then what I do is I tack at least 1 pin. I make sure it's properly in place after I've tacked it, and then I'll solder the rest of the pins in. It's a very easy component. Now don't apply too much heat to 1 pin at once, because this is a plastic component and you don't want to melt it, because this is where you plug in your stereo jack to your audio amplifier. So we've got a green LED, which is clear, and a red LED, which is red. And you notice that they're like the electrolytic capacitors. They have a long lead and a short lead, and they go in these 2 slots. Now the right slot is labeled GR for green, and left is RD for red. And so we want to place obviously our red in the left and our green in the right. Now you want to have your long leads on the bottom of the board, facing on the bottom pins, and your short leads facing the outside of the board on the top. If you reverse these, your LEDs will not work because they will be in reverse polarity. So again, long leads on the bottom and short leads facing the top of the board. So solder those into place, and we will solder our last component, which is the 8-pin dip socket. Okay, so on the left side of the dip socket, you might have trouble seeing it, but there's a little notch. This is an indicator notch. On the left side of the footprint, there's a little notch. Make sure that from bird's eye view that the notches face the same direction, left, the outside of the board. And what I do is, again, I hold it in place on the finger, turn the board around, tack one pin, make sure that it's by itself sitting properly, then I'll solder the rest of them, and then I'll resolder the tacked pin so you get a good solder joint. And then what I'll do is, once I've done, I'll take the programmed audio chip, and there's a notch on the left hand side, and I'll fit it in with the socket with the indicator facing left. I line up the bottom pins first, and then I line up the top pins and I push it down. If you reverse the polarity and you place the notch to the right, your audio chip will likely get fried and will not work. So make sure that you solder the socket into place with the notch facing left, and then you place your programmed chip with the notch facing left. So that's the last solderable component. So now we have to insert and connect our LCD. So we've got 4 standoffs and 8 M3 screws. I'm going to turn the unit around. We've got 4 mounting holes for the LCD. What I'm going to do is, one by one, take one screw, place it through, and I'm not going to tighten it completely. I'm going to make sure it's a little bit wobbly so it's easier to insert the LCD. I'm going to come back and tighten it later. I'm going to do that for all 4 pins. Now that I've got those in place, I'm going to take the LCD. You can remove the cover once you're done if you want, but you can always leave it on. It's a nice dust protection cover. And there's obviously 16 pins there. And we're going to place it right in the female socket. Make sure that the left 6 pins are in the left 6-pin socket. The right pins are in the right 6-pin socket. And it should sit on the standoffs. Now what you want to do is you want to take a screwdriver, line up all 4 of the holes, screw them all in, and then what you want to do is you want to go underneath and tighten those. Next, we'll give it a quick test. Next, I've plugged it in to my Arduino Uno, and we'll just test the LCD out. This is a piece of software that was loaded onto my Arduino Uno because today is the day I'm working on the Kickstarter campaign. Our 30th project on Kickstarter. Thanks for watching, everyone. That is the assembly video. Check us out at escaperoomelectronics.com, engineeringshock.com, and the Kickstarter, which is linked below.